grüße euch. Ich grüße euch an einem wunderschönen Herbsttag. Die Sonne scheint, das Laub liegt und ich schaukel ein bisschen. Nicht besonders spannend. Was allerdings spannend ist, ist das gleich folgende Interview. Die Australier von Catholic Guild werden da nämlich den aus North Carolina stammenden Jungs von Late Bloomer mal ein paar Fragen stellen und umgekehrt. Beide Bands wären jetzt eigentlich auf dem legendären The Fest in Gainesville, Florida aufgetreten. Aber leider ist dieses Festival auch so wie viele andere der Pandemie zum Opfer gefallen. Dort hätten sie sich die Bühne geteilt mit Bands wie Gorilla Biscuits, Lawrence Arms, Strike Anywhere, Make War und vielen, vielen anderen. Ja, dazu kam es jetzt leider nicht. Es kam lediglich, muss man sagen, zu einer kleinen Online-Version des Festivals. Unter The Fest That Never Was kann man sich das Ganze noch anschauen. Schaut doch mal rein. Jetzt hören wir aber erstmal rein in Catholic Guild. Ja, und nun Late Bloomer.
But the noise it never stops, and I see those 1,000 yards. This time a boyhood charm, it's send me home a bloody mess. But the noise it never stops, and I see those 1,000 yards. That time a boyhood charm, it's send me home.
Ja, so viel von mir an dieser Stelle. Ich wünsche euch jetzt viel Spaß mit dem Interview. Ich gehe jetzt ein schönes Stück vor der Kaugen essen. Bis zum nächsten Mal. Macht's gut.
Hey everyone, I'm Brenton, and that is Bryce just there. Hey Bryce.
Hey.
And we're from Melbourne, Australia, punk rock band Catholic Guilt. We've been asked to interview fellow punk rockers Late Bloomer from North Carolina about the fest that never was. So we're going to do that. G'day, Late Bloomer, what's going on?
Not much. I just got off work. And yeah, not really much has happened today for me. Yeah.
And I'm Neil.
Yeah, I was going to say, and who are you speaking there, Josh?
Oh, I am Josh. I play bass and sing in Late Bloomer, and that's my proper introduction. So back to you.
I'm Neil, and I play guitar and sing in Late Bloomer.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Bryce plays guitar, if he didn't already say that, and I'm the vocalist.
Yeah,
Okay.
I play guitar and sing, and Brenton sings.
Yeah.
So you get to just sing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
I'm
Lazy fuck.
I love it. I've always wanted to. I never get to.
Yeah, well, it kind of wasn't the original intention, but I made it the intention pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's fun to just be the singer in a band. I used to do it in my, I guess, like more punk bands before we started Late Bloomer, and I kind of miss it, but you know, being able to kind of more so, I guess, contribute is also a nice thing too. I'm not sure your process with it, but yeah, I sang in bands for years, but yeah.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I find that I really like doing just solo vocals for like heavy, like hardcore screamo or like metalcore. But if I'm playing like pop rock, I don't feel like I can move my hands correctly to it, so I just prefer to have the guitar on.
Yeah, all the bands that I did.
That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, all the bands that I just did vocals in were definitely like, I guess, heavier or faster kind of bands. So yeah, I don't know if I would know what to do with my body. and that we're not fast. So
That was a challenge for me until I bought a straight mic stand.
Right.
That's the answer. Straight mic stand. So you can
Oh,
grip
you
onto
can
it.
do the Lane Staley
Hold
thing.
it.
Yeah, the Lane Staley. That was
Yeah, it looks
that
cool.
was my solution.
Yeah, yeah.
That always looks cool.
I was always scared that it would do like a thing where I'm leaning against it and then like it goes all the way down. Then it's like Charlie Chaplin kind of thing, or like just like, and then I have to act like I meant to do it.
You could do the thing where you take it out of it, so it's just half of it, and you hold it out
Yeah, and it's,
to the crowd.
you do the Freddie Mercury. The,
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's good.
Is that what we could expect from you when we see you playing next, the Freddie Mercury?
No, because I had to play guitar while I sing.
well, yeah. I mean, we have another guitar player
You can have a
that
bass
we
interlude.
tour with, and so maybe he can play guitar and Neil can just do vocals. So
I'm down.
it's a good plan.
I'd like to see that.
Or we'll do a thing where we can't decide who's
Chris?
going to sing lead, and so we'll all just sing lead. But, yeah.
But all in different keys as well.
With just like a drummer in the background,
I'm cool with that.
like the end of Step Brothers.
Yeah. Where did the rest of the music come from? I don't get that.
Yeah. Fight for that.
Well, we've careered off
Brendan, do you
track.
have-
That's beautiful.
Do we have actual questions we have to ask?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I do.
Need direction.
So, all right. So, obviously, we're on opposite sides of the world to each other right now, and living very, very different lives. Bryce and I, despite it being his birthday, we're not legally allowed to see each other, for example. So, what's life like for you in North Carolina at the moment?
Well, I almost like wish that it were that way here, because that means that someone would be doing something. There's just that idea, and North Carolina especially, and even more so in South Carolina where Neil lives, because where we live in North Carolina, it's like right on the border. So Neil living in South Carolina, I'm speaking for him, like it's not like, it's basically like the same city almost. So like, yeah, it's just kind of a free for all, like it's like a mask versus like unmasked people is like the thing. And there's this big idea in the US about like personal choice, and not saying it's not that way in Australia. I know there's like a big probably contingent of that too, but it's almost like even the government saying like, oh, choose to do it if you want to, it's fine, and so no one's really like corralling anything to get any better. So I could theoretically, other than like playing a show, which we can't do because venues are closed, I could do anything I would have done before the quarantine, but we just, choose not to. Like we just, make decisions and try and be safe and sequester ourselves as much as we can, outside of work. And even my job like makes everybody wear masks and wash your hands often. So luckily I work in an environment like that, and I think Neil's kind of similar too.
Yeah, it sucks though. I think, at least me personally, I have a lot of family that are on the other side of this shit, so it's just, I don't know, I feel like we're surrounded by stupid people sometimes.
Yeah, like my dad got COVID, and he doing, I guess, as fine as you can. Who knows what the long-term results will be, but basically because he was just going to church. Like it was just like he was, I don't know if they were legally allowed to, but it's like, just no one's really trying to do anything, and like the numbers are kind of starting to like spike again. So
yeah, heading into winter is going to be dangerous for you guys. That's like we're thinking of everyone over there who's kind of being forced into this position by the selfish. You didn't decide to be in this situation. It's just selfish people deciding to make it worse and that's really unfortunate. So sorry to hear that.
Yeah, but but it's also good to just like have our freedom here.
Yeah, look, there is that, but I guess
I'll just die with freedom and COVID.
Yeah. I've said this to a few people, because we've had arguments with people here in Australia as well about whether we should have the lockdown or the masks or whatever. And every single time they're like, well, what about what I want to do? And every single time my response to them is, I will happily sacrifice my freedoms for the safety of another human being.
Yeah, like unsarcastically.
Because someone likes me more than me getting to get a fucking coffee. That's
exactly.
That's how I feel about it, and that shuts people down pretty much instantly, because they're like, well, I can't really respond to that. So.
Well, I think that's probably the difference between Australian mindset and the U.S. or because it's still like, if I propose that to someone, they go, well, I don't care, then it's like, all right, well then fuck you, like it's
they literally don't care. Like, even if you give that argument, they're just like, I don't give a fuck. It's like banging your head against the wall. So at some point you just get tired of it.
Yeah, I mean, if ultimately they don't believe that it's a real thing, then there's no kind of argument that you can have with someone that just doesn't even really believe that it's like, there's like thousands of people that just go maskless to like Trump rallies, and a lot of those were happening pretty close to us, and so it's just like, and none of those type of people like wear masks,
Yeah.
So.
I had family that took my nieces to this big Trump rally. It was like 15,000 people and like no mask and shit. It's like, it's insane.
It's a bummer. I mean, maybe like any of us can get married to y'all so that we can get out of this.
Okay. Well, it's legal here in Australia as well, so that's
it is legal. Yep.
Cool. Yeah. I guess. Sorry, you were saying?
No, yeah, and like I believe there's, if you're a God person, which I doubt you are, but if you are, I believe there's even some churches that'll marry you here.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, I don't know. I mean, I am a ordained minister, but I don't know if that works in Australia. I assume because it's like a bogus church that I got it from. I can't remember what the name. It was just I'm an internet minister basically.
That's funny.
But I don't even know what religion it is, if it has one. I think they keep it vague on purpose. Like, I don't know.
Oh my!
Yeah.
You should do weddings at Fest.
I have married someone at Fest.
Yes.
Oh, that's amazing.
That's actually the only wedding I've ever done.
That's still cool.
Yeah. So yeah.
All right, let's get onto a happier topic. Brenton, go.
Yeah. Me? No, I reckon Josh should ask a question.
Okay.
Right. We're going
all right.
back and forth.
So
Josh,
you'll see that all of my questions have a theme, and they're all Australian themed.
Yes, bring it on.
All right. So, why are kangaroos so swole? Like, why are they so
Bryce?
It depends on the kangaroo, but you're speaking about red kangaroos specifically. So red kangaroos are just naturally a muscular animal. Like, think of how muscular a deer is, or a moose or something, like any four-legged animal, but then just make them stand on two legs instead, and it's just they're a muscular, strong animal, just like anything else. It's just their appearance of standing like this that makes them seem like they're swole.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some pictures. There was one like this kangaroo that would just like hit somebody's window, and I was like, damn, that kangaroo is sexy. Like they are.
Brenton, can you find the kangaroo, that big red kangaroo, crushing the metal drinking thing? Like he just crushes this big metal trough. I'll see if I can find it.
You try and find that. I do not know what you're talking about, and I'm going to answer why kangaroos are so swole. It's because they live in the outback and there's nothing else to do but to fucking work out. That's it. That's why they're so swole.
Well, kind of
they have gyms. They have gyms at your outback steakhouse.
Wait, okay, so wait, we were talking with Bryce, but Brenton, have you been to the U.S.?
I sure have.
Okay, have you? Oh, sorry.
I've been to 13 different cities, and they've all been awesome, I must say. And I want to know, personally, why squirrels are so fucking adorable.
Oh, squirrels. I just, that's how God made them, I guess. They're religious
And
people.
why are your possums so ugly?
I don't know. Possums.
They're not, though.
I like possums.
I don't think they're ugly.
Well, the only time I've had that they're ugly specifically is I have a compost bin in my backyard, and it had just like a screen on it, and a possum fell in there, and it died, and that was not a pretty. I couldn't
you
actually
go out
tell what it was first.
You poop into that hole?
Yeah, in the compost thing, we just poop in it in our house. And so we were pooping on the dead possum. So that's why we couldn't tell it was a possum. Yeah. But,
We
I've
have
just
completely
shared that.
different possums.
Yeah, we've got cute possums. They're all got cute little faces and they're adorable. But they make the worst noise you've ever heard in your life. It's like a deep, chesty growl.
Can you make that
Doesn't
noise?
sound like it should. No.
Are you? I feel like you're bringing up the possum thing because you wanted to rub in that it's the only marsupial we have native to North America.
Yep, that's
while you
where I'm
have
going.
a lot of marsupials.
Yeah.
Possum was my nickname my entire life. My dad's.
Okay, George Jones.
Awesome. So I threw you off terribly off track. You were asking if I'd been to America.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why?
But your next question?
Yeah, sure. If we're talking about regional differences, why are the Hardy Boys still wrestling?
Why not? Why not?
Well, like the young adult literature?
No.
Yeah, that would be awesome. That would be awesome. The young adult literature dudes. You see, that's a good question because you're from Carolina. It's kind of fun. Like you guys, that joke works both ways. I love it.
Yeah. Well, neither of us are big wrestling fans, so it's like I know the name, but it's like to give you a solid answer. Like I could talk to you about like 90s wrestling.
Yeah, well, I mean, there you go.
But yeah, I guess it would still be relevant. Like, but if you want to talk about like the wrestler Sting, more or the phases of Hulk Hogan, then that's kind of...
That's like Brenton has an encyclopedic knowledge of wrestling.
Oh shit, we've got. Oh yeah, you upgraded it. Awesome.
Yay.
Brenton has an encyclopedia knowledge of wrestling, so you could ask him anything and he would know it. But yeah, that'll make this interview 3 hours long.
Encyclopedias are the ones with the pictures, right?
They have some pictures, yeah.
Yeah, they used to be on CD-ROM too. Anyone remember Encarta?
Yeah. I think that's like aging us, though. I mean, you know, the first computer I had as a kid, it came with like Microsoft Encarta, but it also came with like a CD that had like Presidents of the United States of America on it and Weezer, but it also had Mariah Carey and Mary Shipman. So it's kind of actually all of that encompasses Late Bloomer as a band.
That's awesome. Well, that's a good chance to actually talk about Late Bloomer.
Just in between questions, Brenton, if everyone goes to the chat, they'll see that red kangaroo crushing.
Okay, we'll awesome. I'm gonna look at that really quick and then we'll get back to the question.
Yeah.
The red kangaroo JPEG. All right, click to open. Sorry, this is taking so long. I guess if you want to ask that question.
Yeah, well, I mean, if for Australians who might be watching this and might not have had a chance to check out Late Bloomer, what is it that you do? How would you describe what you do?
Well, I am now looking at this picture of this kangaroo, and that is great. But I will come back to the Zoom chat. But I guess, did you ask, like, what do we do?
Yeah, what do you do?
Well, I guess, like, kind of the easiest comparison that we kind of use, it's almost like if like Husker Du and Replacements were like one band, you know. So it's like a mixture of the two. I guess is like the simplest thing. I mean, really into like, I guess, 90s alt type stuff, you know, like Sugar and whatnot as well. That's it.
That's actually funny because we actually have a very similar path of like of influenced bands, just the Australian versions, like Midnight Oil and The Living End and Hoodoo Gurus. You wouldn't know any of those bands, maybe Midnight Oil. But,
well, do you like
they're the same style, just they're Australian.
Yeah, actually, there was a time. It was a few years ago when not our most recent record, but the one before. My uncle was listening to the record and he said we sounded like Midnight Oil. Yeah, and I'm like, what are you talking? I mean, it's like I knew like sort of vaguely who it was, and then listened to it, like the song specifically. I can't remember what song it was, but I was like, yeah, I guess we kind of do, sure. But a Scream Feeder is. Do you like them?
I do. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I know. I'll just start saying Australian bands that I know.
Yeah. This conversation usually goes like, people are like, no one ever says Scream Feeder. Usually it's like, they're like, The Saints, Body Jar, Frenzal Rom, and then they like then they start asking me about John Farnham, and I get off track.
I'm actually, I don't know if you saw, I'm wearing a Poison City Records shirt.
Hey! Yeah,
nice. Nice.
I don't know where they are in relation to where you are.
Down the road from
very
my
close
house.
to Bryce's house, yeah.
You said Melbourne, so.
Yeah.
It's like, it feels like
literally down the road.
Oh. I think someone at like one of the first fest I went to, they were just like, we can't take these shirts back with us, so do you want one? I mean, I do like Poison City Records, so I was like, yeah, and it has lots of cool things on it. I don't know, skateboards and whatnot. So, sure, yeah.
Wonderful. Well, do you have another question about Australia?
Yes, I do. It was kind of almost like a two-part question. Kind of like, I guess the overall question is, what's the deal with koalas? And the kind of A part of that is, why do koalas seem to get chlamydia a lot?
Well, they get it and they keep it for their entire lives. I don't know. They've just produced chlamydia in their own community. I don't know. It's a sexually transmitted disease among koalas, just like.
I guess they don't have medicine, so koalas don't.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
That's a great question. I don't know why they get chlamydia, but the deal with koalas is, again, they're just cute, so we like them.
They're another creature, though, that I think, while they're cute, well, you were saying possums weren't cute, but koalas make very weird noises. Like
Yeah. Again, that same grumbly noise that a koala makes is the same noise that a possum makes.
So a koala is like y'all's equivalent of our possums?
No, we have possums. They're just different possums.
Sounds. They make similar sounds.
Oh, okay.
But I will say with koalas, they're very lazy. All they do is eat eucalyptus leaves and have sex and sleep. That's their whole life.
Well, I guess that explains the chlamydia. And also, well, I think that it's probably, though, they like, you say they're lazy, but I think that they like their quality time.
I don't know. If I could get away with living like that and be fine, I guess I probably would. I mean,
I guess if the only downside's chlamydia.
Yeah.
Fun fact about koalas is that the eucalyptus leaves actually keep them high constantly. They're actually high on eucalyptus leaves. That's why they're so lazy.
Could we get high off of eucalyptus leaves?
We can try.
Oh, well. Well, do you have another question?
Sure. Why did you choose to cover Gorilla Biscuits?
I'm a big fan of Gorilla Biscuits, and I don't know. Honestly, it was a little bit harder than we thought. It kind of like it was like, I don't know. I was kind of like looking at some of the bigger bands that were playing, and it was like I thought like, I can't remember who y'all covered, but it was like, I think it was like looking at like Hot Water Music and whatnot, and just kind of was thinking like the covers would be like a little longer. And I think we, since like lockdown, we weren't really sure if we were going to do any sort of full band version, even though it's a, acoustic comp. So it was like, what do I know the most? And just as a pretty big fan of Gorilla Biscuits, I thought it would be pretty easy, but then we had to kind of like reinterpret it, or I guess Neil did. And then I sang over it, but it's a lot wordier than almost I would have thought. There's a lot of lyrics, and they don't like really line up like in a normal song. It's their most like, I feel like, pop friendly song on that record, like that or like New Direction, but it's still like, certain things don't. I think we translated as well as we could.
Yeah, we had to do a similar thing because we did Broadcasting by Comeback Kid.
Okay.
So that's a very heavy.
We should have just done that.
And so we just turned it into a acoustic finger-picky ballad with piano behind it, and we think it came out all right. Yeah, almost like now I'm like envious. I'm like, man, probably would have been easier because it was there's like the cadence of everything. Like we tried to make it its own thing, but you're still kind of like obviously following the pattern. I feel like Comeback Kid, even though has like a more verse chorus verse structure, at least I'm thinking, I don't know in terms of like me thinking about like any of their records, I feel like they write something you could define as like a song, like almost the idea that you could sort of like take it on guitar and just play it as, I guess in front of your friends, but Gorilla Biscuit songs were never intended that way. So we just kind of had to take a little license with it. Probably Neil would be better to answer because I didn't really do anything but sing over it. Yeah, go.
Yeah, I mean, I think Josh had the hardest part, which would be singing over it, but we realized, I think, that it's Gorilla Biscuits. Like, that song's supposed to be fast. So when you break it down, some songs it just doesn't work. I love doing slower covers of faster songs, but it's a little hard to make it sound the way you want it to when it's a song like that. Like, it's just, I don't know. It loses its effect if it's not fast the way Gorilla Biscuits is.
Right, yeah.
But you didn't want it to sound like folk punk either, so.
Yeah.
Well,
we did our best.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's kind of what we could have done it folk punky, and that's kind of how it started. But then Dean, so the Comeback Kid cover, Dean decided to take it and turn it into a ballad, which made it work. It didn't sound like a folk punk song. It sounded like a good cover of the song. And I was much happier with that instead of just doing a fast version, just like at the same tempo as the actual song. So all credit to Dean on that one. That's our other guitarist.
Awesome.
So Dean.
And do you want another Australian question?
Yeah, always. I mean,
okay.
I spend half of our interviews doing this, so go.
That is probably, I feel like that's like a thing. Yeah, I mean, if any time, I don't know if you feel like you ever do that to people from the U.S., like just ask them a bunch of U.S. questions or, but I feel like it's like I don't know anything sometimes, but also feel like in a way I'm almost like, I guess I'll use the word obsessed. Like I love the idea of Australia, and like I've watched a lot of movies, Australian movies, and know a decent amount about bands. I actually spoke to at the beginning of quarantine, I was doing like an Instagram live thing, and I had a chat with Ben Lee
Right.
For like an hour, and eventually he was like, I gotta go. But like, yeah, I just kept asking him questions like, do you like Peter Weir? You know, the director, just like asking him like Australian specific questions, like, what do you think of Silverchair or something? You know.
What did
You
he
should
think
ask
of
Brenton.
I love Silverchair.
So do I.
Yeah.
Bryce
Actually,
is about to tell you to ask me that. Yeah.
yeah. Well, it's not as cool of a question as that. Well, what's the scariest animal in Australia? And the reason I ask that is I feel like anytime I see like a picture of an animal from Australia, like the kangaroo, it's always like a bigger version of anything we have here. So it's like, I guess just that question, like, is there a specific animal you can think of that terrifies you?
Let's answer separately because what terrifies me might be different to Brenton.
Yep. What terrifies you, Bryce, apart from me?
Spiders, man. Fuck spiders. Spiders are the worst creature ever invented. Those motherfuckers can just burn. I hate spiders. They're terrifying.
I feel like pictures I've seen of Australian spiders, they're like the size of like a baseball. Yeah, like
They're pretty big.
yeah, softball.
They can get hand size, bigger than hand size.
We
They're
don't
insane.
have that here.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
They're just
that's
scary,
the
but they're,
scariest.
like-
Yeah. The scariest spider in Australia is probably the black funnel web from Sydney. That thing would probably freak Bryce right out.
How
Huge.
far away is Sydney?
9 hours north.
Then you're fine.
But we
My
but we have
sister,
we have huntsmen in Melbourne, all across the country. But huntsmen, they're not poisonous technically. That they have a poison, but it doesn't really affect humans. It'll just give you like a mark. But they're huge. They're hand sized, and the motherfuckers are fuzzy and scary, and they're basically like small tarantulas, but they're bigger than an average spider.
Right.
They do sound frightening, but my sister actually had one of those funnel webs crawl down her face. We got in our car. We had an old station wagon when we were younger, and she put on the seatbelt, and it just crawled down her face. And so she's got like the spider thing right near her mouth, and she's trying not to freak out. And my mum's trying to drive the car, and I'm like 6. So I see this massive spider on my sister's face. And I just scream.
I'll do my impersonation of what an Australian person would sound like in that instance.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, let me see. All right. No.
That's
Why do you
wonderful.
all think we have? Why do you guys think we have an R on the end of our nose?
Yeah.
It's not
Well,
fair.
it's kind of, it makes me think of like a lot of people from like a long or like New York City, they kind of add R's to things too. I mean, it's like a different sound, but it's like I can't think of a where it's almost if they add with an O, it's like an R for some reason. Like I know, like Jello would be like Jeller, you know, and it's like I don't know that letter's not there, you know.
I've never heard
not-
anybody say Jeller.
Yeah, I can't think
Say
like
Jeller.
an example.
I don't know what
That's,
accent that would be.
Yeah, but I don't know, like our friend Mike Bruno, like I feel like he does it. Like it's like R's in places that we don't. But I don't know. But then again, we have weird Southern accents, so I don't have much to critique. But I guess your question.
No, I want to answer the scariest animal before
okay.
I ask you a question. The scariest animal to me actually is really docile. I hate blue box jellyfish. They can fuck off.
Yeah,
They're
but
these.
they
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah, we got these jellyfish that are everywhere around the bay that we live near here. And if they sting you, if you step on one of those sting you, got these tentacles that come out and they get stuck on your leg. And they're excruciatingly painful. And one of the only known ways to get them off is to have someone piss on you.
Cool.
doesn't neutralize the pain, it just gets the tentacles off.
Yeah, it just gets the tentacle off.
I guess it gets me off too.
So that's really a thing.
Yeah, Fat Mike would love it. Fat Mike would be all about it.
He would be, yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, well, the weird thing, I feel like every animal in Australia will kill you.
Just about, yeah.
Yeah.
But something like the size, like apart from kangaroos, like they're the biggest mammal. I think they're probably the biggest mammal / marsupial we have. Like we don't have bears. We don't have any big mammals that can hurt you. We don't have mountain lions. We don't have, deer or moose. Or I know that they're more docile, but if they want to, they could hit you. Like we don't have big mammals that can hurt you. It's all little things: snakes, spiders, box jellyfish. It's all the little guys. You never see a great white shark. You never see a crocodile, and they're the only other two things that are super dangerous.
Stingrays.
Stingrays, but they're docile.
Stingrays, mantas.
Are the stingrays in Australia like really ripped too?
Imagine their wings just being like 3 inches.
Yeah, everything in Australia is on the Chris Hemsworth diet. Everything, absolutely everything. It's just they hang out with the Hemsworth brothers. They high five Miley. They chill with Zac Efron, who apparently is in Byron at the moment.
Well, there's one Hemsworth brother. He's like shorter and he's not as like good looking, but he's still like a good looking man, but it's like just comparatively he's not. And it's like, man, that sucks for him. But it's like he's still like, if it would take him away from the other Hemsworths, he is like, good. He looks great, but it's like, so he's like, comparatively.
The Hemsworth less?
Yeah. Hemsworthless.
Awesome. I wonder how utterly useless this is to them so far.
It's so long.
They'll cut it up. I'm sure.
Yeah.
They'll cut in bits and pieces. They'll get rid of all the junk.
What were you looking forward to most about Fest? And sorry, I should rephrase that. What are you looking most forward to about Fest when we get to play next year?
Modern Life is War.
Yeah.
Sick.
Great band.
I haven't given them a listen. I should do that.
Oh, you should do that. Yeah, if you like, not that they sound technically like them, but if you like Comeback Kid, you would like Modern Life is War. I think. Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, not exactly the same, but
Yeah, I was supposed to see them the last time they played, and I ended up in the hospital with some dumb shit. But they finally came back, but that was this year, so I got fucked.
Yeah. I was probably looking forward to Gorilla Biscuits, actually.
Sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll have to look at the lineup down, so I haven't looked at it enough.
Yeah. Well, we were looking forward to coming over in general because it's our first time leaving the country to play music in another country, and getting to come over and play a few dates and then play Fest, which is a festival I've wanted to go to for ages. It was meant to be like a once in a lifetime kind of opportunity for us. So we're still really keen for it next year. But as Fest veterans, what should you recommend us to do? Should we pre-game?
Just make sure you go get a hot dog from the hot dog guy. He has veggie dogs. If you don't, he's there every year.
I don't think Brenton will be able to eat it because he's allergic to garlic, onion, soy, lentil. Lots of fruit. He's allergic to everything.
I have a fructose allergy, is what he's trying to tell you.
So you can't have soda?
Okay. So in Australia I can. In America I can't.
So you did R on America. So
yeah.
So I got you.
Yeah. Maybe it's true. We have a bit of a different accent. Like we're from Melbourne, so our accent's very different to someone from Queensland, for example. If you were having this conversation with someone from Queensland, it'd be like to talking to someone from Alabama for you guys. Like,
But I
just a
think
very
that
different.
what unites you is you both would probably be equally as annoyed that I keep asking questions about your accent.
Oh no, honestly, like we enjoy it. It's because all the attention's on us, so it's no kidding.
So yes, actually back to that then. But mainly I'm asking this because of your the album art for your, I think, most recent release. So cats or dogs, and why?
I prefer cats, but I like both. I'm a cat person because I feel like it does take a little bit more effort to make a cat fall in love with you. But once a cat loves you, it's a completely unique relationship with that animal versus a dog that just loves everyone no matter what.
Yeah.
That's my opinion on it.
I'm a cat dog person. I love both dogs and cats equally. But I can't have a dog at my apartment, so at the moment I'm a cat person because I've sort of pseudo-adopted a cat that lives upstairs. Its name is Vincent Cat McMahon, and it thinks it lives here. So at 9:30 every morning, he scratches on the door. I let him in, and he comes and works from home with me for the day. And it's adorable because he sits across my arms to prevent me from typing whenever he wants a pat. And how can you not love that? That's just so demanding. It's good training for if I ever have a child.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're gonna let your child go live outside at night?
Yeah. If they ever want to come.
Yeah, man. Yeah, running wild in the streets.
That's how we grew up. Jesus.
Yeah, yeah. In Australia, they're just like, hey, it's 9 o'clock. Get out of bed, leave the house. At 1 o'clock, come back and say hi. At 6 o'clock, we'll try and find you. That's more or less how we grew up.
Yeah. Did you have another question, or was that 5?
That might have been 5, but I mean, sure, we can probably give them. Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
I think, yeah, one more. But the reason I mentioned, well, I guess we didn't answer our own question. I would say, speaking for Neil, I guess, we're both very much dog people, but I've kind of come around to cats, but I could never have a cat because my dog would eat it. Like, you know.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah.
That makes sense.
I'm cool with cats.
Yeah, we're definitely dog people. But I guess my final question is, what is up with dingoes?
Dingoes in general, or the one specific famous dingo?
Is there one specific?
Yeah,
it took her baby.
It took her baby. Dingoes are just wild dogs. And
Like a coyote.
Are you familiar with the dog breed Australian Kelpie?
No.
All right, so if you want a dingo at your house, just get an Australian Kelpie, because a brown tan Australian Kelpie is essentially a domesticated dingo, and they're super dope.
There's I think it's from like 1981. There's this movie called Road Games, and it takes place in Australia, but it's like, I don't know if it's like technically an Australian production. I mean, it is shot there, but it has Stacy Keach and Jamie Lee Curtis, and the one of Stacy Keach's character, he's a truck driver and he has a dingo as a pet. Have y'all seen this movie?
No.
I haven't seen it, but it sounds like one of the Ozploitation films from the late 70s, early 80s, where it was is it a horror film? Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like the plot is basically there's this killer that's killing, well, women, seems to always be the case, but with like a piano wire type thing. And it almost implies that it's potentially Stacy Keach's character, and he's like trying to protect Jamie Lee Curtis, and Stacey Keach isn't Australian, but he is an Australian truck driver. They don't really try to explain that, but he has a dingo as a dog, and essentially they're going to go shoot it because he's not allowed to have a dingo, I guess, as a pet.
It's illegal, yeah.
And then right before the cop shoots the dog, he barks, and so they're like, "Oh, he's not a dingo then if he barked."
Yeah,
so
because dingoes don't bark.
Yeah. But I looked up something today, and it said that dingoes can bark, they just don't typically bark. But I don't. They wouldn't like when they're scared like a dog would. But
what'd you say the movie was called? I want to see it.
Road Games.
Yeah. If you like that genre of film when you watch it, Bryce, there's like 80 films in this genre, and they're totally all worth watching. I'd actually recommend them to anybody who's watching the stream. Actually, it is a horror-themed, a Halloween-themed festival fest. So check out Ozploitation films.
There's even a documentary about it. I think it's called Not Hollywood or something like that.
Yeah, Not Hollywood. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's all about Ozploitation movies. Like there's one about like the big pig that kills.
What is that called?
I've heard of it.
I know what you're talking about.
Starts with an R.
This is annoying. Razorback.
Yeah, but that's the guy Russell McKay that did Highlander. Directed that. So
I love your knowledge of Australian exploitation movies.
This is hilarious. All I got.
This is all you got.
Yeah.
Cool.
It makes me really happy. Like those people work their asses off to get no notoriety at all. So it's nice to see them getting it
by one person
or 40 years old.
One person in North Carolina on the border.
Yeah.
So that's success.
You gave us the career of Michael Jordan, and we gave you Ozploitation films.
I'll take it.